Grappone here with Costello Real Estate and Investments, and this is day 7 of my 30-day Facebook Live video challenge. And I am coming on today. We're talking about the home buyer consultation, and I'll just share something really quickly with you. This is my 3rd time doing this today. The first time doing this on the computer. The first time the live video wasn't running. The second time I had installed my this little microphone gadget that I have that I put into my phone, but I'm doing this on my computer, so I plugged it into the microphone outlet, and then apparently we had no sound. So anyway, this is the 3rd time. I'm gonna make this one a whole lot shorter though than the other ones, so hopefully you can watch it and get to the end. Today's topic is the home buyer consultation. So whenever I meet with someone who is interested in buying a home, let's say they call me up and say, hey Jimmy, we want to, we're in the market, we want to go out and purchase a home. And the first thing I want to do is, after that initial conversation on the phone, is arrange to meet in person, or nowadays over a virtual call. We can do like a Zoom call and go over the whole process of purchasing a home. The reason I like to do this up front is because once we really get into the home buying process, if I haven't explained it, then you've got a lot of questions and you don't really know what's going on. I just find it's a whole lot easier if I explain everything from the beginning. At least that way there's an awareness when we come back to review things and start doing it. So the first thing we always go over is the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure. This is important whenever I'm working with buyers or sellers. And this brochure it defines the relationship between the client and the buyer's agent. It also helps you understand that as a client, you're actually a client of the firm that the real estate agent is affiliated with. So if you're working with me on the purchase of a home, you're actually a client of Costello Real Estate and Investments, and then I represent you on their behalf. The brochure also explains something called, what up, Matt? Also explains something called dual diligence or dual agency. And dual agency is when both parties are represented by the same firm. So my firm, for example, has over 250 agents in the Charlotte area between Charlotte and Fort Mill. So if I'm working with you as a buyer's agent and we see another property that's listed with another agent within my firm, then that's something called dual agency. Both parties are then represented by the same firm. So that's something that we have to disclose. And this brochure explains that in great detail. And also, real quick, so I'm licensed in North and South Carolina. All these documents and everything we're going over with the process right now is North Carolina specific. But this is all, the consultation is pretty much the same for both states. Just some of the documents are a little bit different. So one thing we like to go over is the first document is the offer to purchase and contract. So this is a sample copy of that. And the offer to purchase and contract in North Carolina is 14 pages. And I think in South Carolina it's about 8 or 9 pages now. But the first part is all defining who all the players are in the transaction. So who the seller and buyer are, the property address and everything. And then we get into the fun stuff. We get into the purchase price, what you're offering on the home, due diligence fee and earnest money deposit. So in North Carolina, when you're purchasing a home, let's say you want to offer $300,000 on a house, and there's a line for due diligence fee. So what is due diligence fee? Due diligence fee is an amount that's paid within the first few days of being under contract, and you're compensating the seller for taking their house off the market while you perform all your inspections. You get your loan approved. The appraiser comes out and makes sure that the home is valued at what you're trying to buy it for. And you negotiate any repairs that came out of those inspections that you did. So you're compensating the seller for taking their house off the market. The next deposit is an earnest money deposit. That money is not exposed as the buyer until you get past the due diligence period when you've done all your inspections and everything. So that brings me to the next thing that we always put in. That's the due diligence period and the closing date. So let's say you plan on closing on a house in 30 days and you want to have 24 days to do all your inspections and get your appraisal done and all that. That's when we write those dates in there. Contract also talks about fixtures and exclusions in a home. So it talks about things that you can't see in my office right now, but I've got a ceiling light. That's a fixture that automatically stays. But then all this stuff hanging on the wall, that's considered personal property, so that goes. The one thing that you can generally write in an offer to purchase as far as personal property would be refrigerator, washer, and dryer. So lots of times as a buyer, you might want to, they might have a fridge that you want to keep, or a washer and dryer you can ask for as well. And this is all negotiable stuff. So other negotiable things that are in the offer to purchase are going to be whether or not you want to ask for a home warranty as the buyer. It's going to be, do you want the seller to pay any portion of your closing costs? And you're also going to identify on here whether or not you have another property that you have to sell in order to purchase. There's an opportunity to review disclosures. So the seller, when they list their home, there's a couple disclosure forms they fill out. One is the property owner's disclosure statement. This is where they identify the age of the home, the age of the roof, the HVAC system. If there's any known issues with the property, this is where they have the opportunity to identify those here. Also, there's a page on the back with information about homeowners associations where they can fill out all that information as well. And this is typically, whenever I have a listing, I always have my clients fill this out and upload it. I upload it onto the MLS so the buyer can see that up front when they're making the decision. And typically that's where it's found. But as the buyer, you want to have an opportunity to review any disclosures before you go under contract and put up any money. The other disclosure form is the mineral oil and gas rights disclosure form. And there's 3 questions on here. One, have your mineral oil or gas rights ever been have you ever severed those rights yourself from the property? Have you sold those rights to a company, a drilling company? Do you intend to do that, or has that ever been done in the history of the property? So that's something that the seller fills out and you get a chance to review as well. The next form after going over the offer to purchase and contract is the professional services disclosure and election. And this is just this is a living, breathing form right here. It identifies all the different professionals who are involved in the real estate sales transaction. So that's in addition to real estate agents here in the state of North Carolina and also in South Carolina, we use closing attorneys. So and they handle the closing. Other states use title agencies. So closing attorneys, home inspections, home warranty companies, lenders, termite inspectors, all these different professional services take place during a real estate sales transaction. And on this form, we keep track of everything that's been done. So if you decided to get a survey on the home, then we have you initial that you selected to get a survey and put the name of the survey company on there. So this is just a living and breathing document that is completed prior to closing. Another form that we go over is the questions and answers on home inspections, and this is just a brochure that essentially explains, it defines what a home inspection is and who can do a home inspection and why you should get a home inspection done whenever you're buying a property. I typically will recommend to a seller to get a home inspection as well. It's always a good idea. They usually cost anywhere from $300 to $400, but it's a good opportunity to understand any issues that you might have with your home, especially if you've been in the home for several years or it's an older home. You might have some issues that you might not know about, and it could be a good opportunity for them to know what's going on with the house as a seller. I know I'm talking about buyers here, but as a seller, it's a good opportunity for the seller to know what's going on with the house and potentially get those items fixed prior to listing the home. And then also to be able to share that inspection report with a buyer to give them more confidence in the property before they buy it. Now, as the buyer, I don't care if the seller's had a home inspection done or not. I'm still going to advise you to get your own home inspection. Essentially, now you got, instead of one set of eyes, you got 2 sets of eyes that have looked at the home. So you're going to be even more knowledgeable about the house. And that's going to give you an opportunity to ask for any repairs that you might want to ask for during the due diligence period and prior to closing. Finally, the last document that we go over is the buyer agency agreement. And this is the exclusive buyer agency agreement. That's where we define, what type of property that you're looking for that we're going to help you find and purchase. We talk about the duration of the agency. So the agency agreement. So today being the middle of April 2020, you might sign a 6-month buyer agency agreement going through October of 2020, or you might sign a 3-month buyer agency agreement. However long that buyer agency agreement is, it actually expires sooner than that if you end up purchasing a home and closing on it before that buyer agency agreement is before that date comes up. So as long as the purpose of the agency agreement has been satisfied, then that agreement goes ahead and dissolves once it's complete. Also defines the compensation of the firm, which in most cases, if you're buying a home that's listed by another real estate agent, real estate company, then the seller is going to be the one who is compensating the buyer's firm there. So, and also it talks a little bit about dual agency, which we talked about in the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure here. And also you're acknowledging that you received a copy, and we've gone over the offer to purchase and contract, as well as that Q&A on home inspections and that professional services disclosure form as well. So after we've done that, that's the vegetable part. We got to get to the meat and potatoes, which is finding the house. So then we start, having some practical discussions as well. We talk about the importance of getting a loan pre-approval. So one of the first questions I'll ask is, have you already talked to a lender? Have you been pre-approved or pre-qualified for a loan? There's a few reasons why it's important to do that up front and before we actually go looking at properties. So one of the reasons is going to be so you know what you're approved for, what you can afford. And what you're approved for is not necessarily what you can afford or what you're comfortable with in your budget. You might be approved for up to $500,000, but based on your budget and how much you're going to want to put down, you might only feel comfortable buying a home up to $350,000 or $400,000. So it's important to know that stuff up front. Rates are always changing. So right now we're in a highly volatile time as far as mortgage rates. They're going up, they're going down. We've had record low rates recently. So doing the loan pre-approval process early on gives your lender the opportunity to lock you in to a great rate that we might not see again for a very long time, if ever. So those are just a couple reasons why you should go ahead and talk to a lender very early on. Sometimes buyers come to me and they're already pre-approved. They already have a relationship with the lender. Other times, if they're not, there's several lenders. I've got a handful of lenders that I trust and work with on a regular basis, and that I can refer my buyer clients to, and I enjoy doing that as well. So that's why it's important to get a loan pre-approval early on in the process. The next thing that we do is make a plan for your home search and for you finding your house. So it used to be way back in the day, way before I was a realtor, where these are like pre-internet days, where the real estate agent actually had a big book, and it was a whole lot thicker than this. But they had a big book that was under lock and key, and it was at the real estate firm's office, and you had to make an appointment, and you had to drive down there and open up that book, and that's how you found out what houses were on the market. Unless you happened to drive by and the neighborhood you were looking to move to and saw a sign in the yard. Our role has certainly changed in the technology age. We don't protect that information anymore. You can go on Realtor.com. You can go on any real estate company's website pretty much. You can go on Zillow and look at houses. There's tons of websites you can go on right now. You can go on JimmyGrappone.com and you can go on there and you can find a way to do a home search as well. So there's tons of places you can look for a home search online. When I'm working with serious buyers, I like to go into the MLS, the multiple listing service, and create a client search portal based on the parameters of the search. So looking within a certain geographic area, a certain price range, specific things that they're looking for in their house. We put that into the search, and it really helps close in and identify what they're looking for and help us identify a home. I'm also going on MLS and looking every day at new listings, and I know when I've got clients that are looking for certain properties, certain types of properties in certain areas, that I can go ahead and send them an email link to that exact property. So just having that conversation and coming up with the plan, how are we going to find these properties, and then what are we going to do once we actually do find the property. So Normally, that's making a plan to go out and see those houses in person. Nowadays, with COVID-19 going on and stay-at-home orders, both in North and South Carolina, um, we are a little bit more restricted. So in Mecklenburg, for instance, Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte's located, as of today, we can show properties in person as long as the property is vacant and the buyer client has an imminent need to purchase a property for shelter. So if maybe they're selling their house and their house is under contract, they need to find a new home to live in. Maybe they're relocating from another area, or their lease is ending and they have to find a place to live in. So we can show those properties. In the surrounding counties, we don't have as many restrictions, but we do have to follow all the CDC guidelines and the maintain the social distancing. As the agent, I'm wearing gloves. I've got a mask. I'm the only one touching anything. I've got hand sanitizer, Clorox, Lysol, all that good stuff. So that's how we're going out and doing showings right now. We're also relying a lot more on virtual showings. So in addition to pictures, so of course, you look online and you identify based on the pictures, you find the properties you're interested in that you want to go see in person. Nowadays, a lot of people are actually making offers on homes in our market based on the pictures and also like a video walkthrough. So we're seeing a lot more listings right now that have video walkthroughs that are attached to the listings themselves. It's something that we've had the ability to do, and a lot of us agents have been doing it for a while, but now it's, instead of a plus, now it's pretty much becoming a necessity on these listings, so you can see those houses. Finally, the last thing is that talking about doing things electronically and virtually and digitally is I use a program called DotLoop, and a lot of agents use DotLoop, a lot of agents use DocuSign, but it's an electronic signing program that basically allows everything to be signed, all the contracts and offers and all that stuff. You just sign it electronically. I fill in the forms, the areas where they need to be initialed and where they need to be signed. I fill those things in and can send it to you, and then you just click right through to do your signature. So we really don't do in-person signings, even when I'm meeting face-to-face with somebody. I might even sit right there and on my tablet or on my computer and type it all up and send it to them, and they can tap the screen and sign it right there. But we really don't do the handwritten signatures so much anymore these days anyway. So anyway, that's the home buyer consultation done as quickly as I can. First 2 times I did it, I think I was hitting 25 minutes. It's been 18 minutes right now, so that's why my voice is pretty much gone. But thanks so much for taking the time to watch this, whether you watched it live, watching it on a replay today, tomorrow, or a year down the road. Thanks a lot. If you have any questions about what I mentioned today in the home buyer consultation, if you have any other questions about the home buying or selling process, any other real estate related questions at all, and would like to ask me, feel free to do so. You can reach out to me directly on YouTube, on Facebook here through Facebook messaging. You can call or text me, 704-313-8514. You can email me, Jimmy@CostelloREI.com. Thanks so much for watching.